My mentor faked being my online business mentor, then launched the same product. She had 200,000 followers, a podcast in the top 10 of its category, a signature course that sold for $1,997, and a personal brand built entirely on the premise that she was in the business of helping other women build businesses. She called herself a mentor. She called me, specifically, her rising star student. She said that in a public Instagram story. I screenshotted it. I still have it. Over 8 months, I shared with her, in our private coaching calls, in our DMs, in the documents she asked me to send, everything I was building, the market research, the audience data, the product framework, the launch strategy, the pricing model I had spent 3 months developing. Everything. Because she was my mentor. Because I trusted her. Because I had paid her $3,500 for the privilege of her guidance. 4 months after our coaching engagement ended, she launched a product. The same product. My market. My framework. My pricing architecture. Her name on it. Her audience behind it. She made $340,000 in 7 days. And then she posted a reel celebrating it. And tagged me in it.
Tagged me
in it. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I started documenting. I need to tell you something about the online business world. Before I tell you the rest of this story, the mentor-student relationship is one of the most unregulated, most exploited, and least talked about power dynamics in the entire creator economy. You pay someone, sometimes thousands of dollars, for access to their knowledge, their network, their guidance. In exchange, you give them access to your ideas, your strategies, your vulnerabilities, and your most carefully developed thinking. There is no NDA. There is no IP protection. There is no professional licensing board. There is no consequence for a mentor who takes what a student shares and uses it for themselves, except one, the internet, and the particular satisfaction of being better at using it than the person who thought they could steal from you. Let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Claire. I'd been building an online business for 2 years. When I found Rachel, or more accurately, Rachel's content found me. The algorithm, in its infinite and occasionally cruel wisdom, served me one of her reels on a Tuesday afternoon. She was talking about a specific gap she'd identified in the digital product market, a niche I was also working in. Her analysis was sharp. Her data was specific. Her delivery was confident without being arrogant. I followed her. Then I binged 6 months of her content in a weekend. Then I joined her email list. Then, for months later, I signed up for her mastermind, a 6-month group coaching program at $3,500. I want to be transparent about that number, because I think it matters to the story. $3,500 is not an impulse purchase. That is a considered investment. That is someone who has done their research, believed in the person they were giving money to, and made a genuine bet on the relationship. I had done all of that. The first 2 months of the mastermind were excellent.
Genuinely.
Rachel was sharp, prepared, and generous with her knowledge. The group calls were structured and useful. The community of other students was supportive. I was building something specific, a digital toolkit for a niche audience that I had identified through 18 months of community research. The gap was real, and I had the data to prove it. Rachel encouraged me to share my research with the group. She said it would help other students think about market identification. I did, enthusiastically. She also encouraged me to share my product framework in our one-on-one calls, which were included in the mastermind. She said she wanted to give me specific, tailored feedback. I did that too. I sent her the full product roadmap in a shared Google Doc. She made comments in it. Her fingerprints were in my document.
I did not think about that at the time.
I think about it constantly now. By month 4, I had a waiting list of 340 people for a product that didn't exist yet. Real people, real emails, real demand. Rachel called me her rising star in that Instagram story. I was genuinely moved. Month 5, our final month of the mastermind, Rachel seemed distracted in our calls, less engaged, shorter on feedback. I figured she was busy. She had a lot of students. I kept building. Month 6, the mastermind ended. We exchanged warm messages. She said she couldn't wait to see my launch. I thanked her for everything. 2 months passed. I was deep in product development. Then 4 months passed. And then one morning, my phone buzzed with a notification from someone in my audience. Hey, have you seen this? There was a link. I clicked it, and I saw Rachel's product launch page. I want to describe this carefully, because I want you to understand the specific nature of what had happened. This was not a coincidence. This was not parallel thinking. This was not two people arriving at a similar idea through independent paths. I know this because I spent 4 hours on the day I found that launch page, doing a side-by-side comparison of her product and my product roadmap. The market segment, identical. The core problem being solved, identical. The 3-part framework at the center of the product, identical in structure, renamed. The pricing architecture, identical. The language used to describe the target customer, so close to my own market research document, that 3 phrases were lifted nearly verbatim. I sat very still for a long time. Then I picked up my phone, and I read the notification again. She had tagged me in her launch celebration reel, with a caption about being grateful for her community and everyone who had inspired her work. I was in the comments with a fire emoji that I had posted before I saw the launch page. Before I knew, I stared at that fire emoji for a long time. Then I screenshot everything. The launch page, the reel, my comment, the comparison document I had just built, every DM we had exchanged, every comment she had left in my Google Doc, every email from the mastermind platform. I opened a folder on my desktop. I thought about what to name it. I named it Evidence. And then I called someone who had been through something similar, a friend who worked in digital product law. What she told me over the next 2 hours changed the way I approached everything that followed. My friend, the lawyer, asked me 3 questions before she said anything else. Question 1. Did you have anything in writing that established the ideas as yours before the mastermind? Answer: yes. I had timestamped documents, blog posts where I had written publicly about the market gap, email list newsletters where I had described the product concept, a Notion workspace that had been active for 18 months, with version history that showed the evolution of my thinking, well before I'd ever heard of Rachel. Question 2. Did she have documented access to your specific materials? Answer: yes. Her comments were in my Google Doc. I had the mastermind platform emails. I had the DM threads where she had asked me questions about specific elements of my framework, questions that could only have been asked by someone who had read the document carefully. Question 3. Are you prepared for this to become public? I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, I'm prepared for whatever it takes. She said, then here's what you're going to do. And here's the order you're going to do it in. Step 1. Consult a digital IP attorney.
Not to file immediately.
To understand the landscape and have representation in place. Done within 48 hours. Step 2. Send a formal cease and desist. Not a public call out. Not a DM. A legal document from my attorney to hers. This was sent on day 7. Rachel's response arrived on day 11. Through her attorney. It denied everything. We expected that. Step 3. Prepare the public record. This is the part my legal team helped me think through carefully, because there is a right way and a wrong way to tell your story publicly when IP theft is involved. The wrong way, an emotional Instagram post that reads as a personal attack, which opens you to defamation risk and makes you look reactive rather than credible. The right way, a factual, documented, calmly presented account of what happened when it happened and what you can prove. I spent 3 weeks preparing that account. Time-stamped documents, side-by-side comparisons, screenshots with metadata, a clear, linear timeline. And then I published it, not as a call-out, as a case study. I published the case study on my own platform,
My blog,
my email list, My audience. The 340 people on my waiting list. The community I had built in 18 months, while developing the very product that had been taken from me. I titled it simply, What Happened to My Product and What I'm Doing Next. I stated facts. I showed documents. I let the timestamp speak. I did not use Rachel's name in the initial post. I referred to her as a prominent mentor in my industry and let the audience connect the dots, which they did within approximately 40 minutes. I ended the post with this. I am continuing to build this product. It will launch. It will be better than anything currently in this market. And it will be built by the person who actually did the research. Within 6 hours, the post had been shared 4,000 times. Within 12 hours, 3 major newsletters in the online business space had linked to it. Within 24 hours, my email list had grown from 2,100 subscribers to 11,400. Within 48 hours, the online business community, which is smaller and more interconnected than most people realize, had done its own research. Former students of Rachel's mastermind began sharing their own experiences in the comments. 2 of them described similar situations with their own ideas and frameworks. A journalist who covered the creator economy reached out asking for an interview. Rachel posted nothing for 9 days. On day 10, she posted a carefully worded statement through her PR team that denied the specific allegations, while using the phrase creative inspiration 4 times in 6 paragraphs. Her comment section did not receive it well. By the end of that week, 3 of her major brand partnerships had gone quiet. 2 podcast appearances she had been announced for were quietly removed from the show's websites. The $340,000 she had made in 7 days was about to become the most expensive week of her professional life. I launched my product 6 weeks later, not because I had rushed it, because I had been building it for 2 years.
And it was ready.
I had 11,400 email subscribers on launch day. I had a community that had watched what happened and decided, with their attention, their trust, and their wallets, which side of the story they believed. Launch week revenue, $290,000. I want to sit with that number for a moment, not because I want to brag, but because I want you to understand what it represents. Rachel's product had made $340,000 using my framework. Her audience, her head start. Mine made $290,000 using my framework, an audience I had built in 6 weeks, starting from a position of having just been publicly robbed. The market, which is ultimately just people making decisions, had weighed everything it knew and responded. I am not naive enough to think that justice always works this cleanly. Often it doesn't. The person with the bigger platform, the louder voice, the longer head start, often they just win. But sometimes the documented truth is louder than the established platform. And sometimes an audience of 340 people who already believed in what you were building turns into 11,000 people who believe in it even more because they watched you refuse to disappear. Rachel's mastermind program closed enrollment quietly 3 months after the case study published.
No announcement.
It just stopped being promoted. Her podcast dropped from top 10 to outside the top 100 in its category over the following quarter. She still has followers. She still posts. She is in the way that people with established platforms often are still there. But the brand she had built on helping other women build businesses had been permanently and publicly complicated by the story of what she had done to one of them. I did not celebrate her decline. I was too busy building. At 12 months post-launch, my product had generated $1.2 million in revenue. I had a team of 4, a new product in development, an email list of 47,000 people, and a mentor, a real one this time, someone I found carefully, whose track record I verified independently, with whom I have a written agreement that clearly establishes who owns what. Because I learned, at a cost of $3,500 and 8 months of my life, that trust without structure is just exposure. Here's what I need you to know. If you are in the online business space, as a student, as a builder, as someone who is paying for mentorship right now, your ideas have value before they become products. Your research has value before it becomes revenue. Your frameworks have value before they have a sales page. And that value is yours. Document everything. Date everything. Create a paper trail before you share anything significant with anyone in a position of power over your learning. Not because everyone is Rachel. Most mentors are genuine. Most people in rooms of shared learning are there to learn, not to extract. But some aren't. And the ones who aren't are specifically skilled at presenting themselves as the ones who are. So protect your work, not with paranoia, with professionalism. Timestamp your ideas. Keep your own records. Know what you're sharing before you share it. And read every agreement carefully, especially the ones that seem too casual to need reading. To everyone who has been in Claire's position, who paid for guidance and received extraction, I want to say this. You are not naive for having trusted. Naivety implies a failure of intelligence. What you did was extend good faith to someone who had specifically positioned themselves to receive it. That is not your failure. It is their crime.
Document it.
Tell it clearly. Build anyway. Because the best outcome, the outcome that costs them the most, is not a lawsuit, though sometimes that matters. It's a product that outsells theirs, built by the person they thought they could erase. Subscribe for a new story every week.